You need to dream bigger and you need to believe it's possible. Your life is 100% up to you.
I hate the word budget. It's limiting. I hate being limited. I want to create wealth. Welcome back to the Jared Briggs Show. Hope you guys are having the best day ever. Thank you for being a part of this show and taking some time out of your day to listen to this. My goal here is to bring some value to your life. I've got a passion to talk about money, talk about finances, talk about life and everything that money has to do with our lives. It's kind of a crazy world that we live in the sense of money has a part of everything we do every single day. I truly believe that the whole mindset that money isn't important and all of these negative things that we have about money is kind of a negative. And I want to flip that in America. I want to flip the mindset and understanding that money is important. It's a tool and a resource that we can use to better our lives. It has the power to make you a bad person. It has the power to make you a good person, just like everything in life. And that is up to your decision. So the things that I talk about here on the show, if this is your first time listening, the whole goal here is to help people live a good life from a financial standpoint. I've really been working on terming myself and building myself. I want to be a financial life coach. I want to help people understand money in their perspective and create a life of your goals and your dreams. So I really appreciate you being here and listening to this. And the goal here is to bring some value to your life. I got to share a recent conversation that I just had. I was literally thinking about the tons of different ideas that I had about creating an episode. I've had a lot of fun getting on the app website thing called Reddit and being a part of a lot of financial conversations in there and seeing what people are talking about and the things that are going on in this country. And I've had the great opportunity since 2017 to help people in the insurance or financial services industry. So if you don't know anything about my background, that's what I've been doing for the last 8+ years, is helping people with health insurance, Medicare, life insurance, protecting retirement accounts. And in that time, the whole desire has been to figure out money. What is money? How does money work? And what to do with money? And having thousands of conversations with people in retirement, in health insurance, buying life insurance, dealing with their investment accounts, all of these different situations, I feel like I've been able to see from the inside and the outside and in every aspect, people that have done very well, people that haven't done very well. And I say this honestly, that I am very disgusted with our financial system in the United States of America. And I can honestly say all the books that I've read and the things that I've gone back to, it really started in 1970s when the government went away from the gold standard, being the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a privately held bank. Everybody thinks it's the federal government because it says the Federal Reserve. They were strategic in naming it that. And since that time, they can print money. They can do whatever it is that they want to do with money. Banks, the Federal Reserve is the one that gives the banks the money. They're the ones that set the interest rates. They're the ones that does all of the things that they do. And you can honestly trace when finances and our economy really started to struggle financially. And this whole term, the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. Well, yeah, because it's really not set up that fair. But the cool thing is if we blame the Federal Reserve, if we blame the government, if we blame insurance carriers and agencies and the Wall Street and the bull and all of these things that are dealing with our finances on a day-to-day basis, if we blame them, they hold all the power. If they're the problem, we can't change them. And I constantly sit here and see people blame the Federal Reserve, blame the government, blame inflation, blame all these things. Well, you're giving them power. The beautiful part is when you recognize all of this problem and the things that are going on, and you look at, okay, I don't agree with this. That's why I say I'm disgusted with it. But I still believe at the same time, okay, what do I need to learn? From your perspective, what could you learn? What could you build? What could you do that would build you outside of being affected by the Federal Reserve and the IRS and the government and Wall Street and the big banks and private banks and all of these things? You see, By us blaming them, we give them power. But if we blame ourselves, it gives us power. And it puts the power back in our hands where, oh, I can make a difference. I haven't been good at managing my money. I'm going to get better at managing my money. I haven't been good at investing my money. I'm going to get better at investing my money. I'm going to learn about these processes and systems, and I'm going to make decisions outside of what they are doing. And so in these conversations here recently, I had a really cool opportunity where I sat down with a couple, had the opportunity. I've helped them with their Medicare insurance, and they called me a couple weeks ago about life insurance. And they kept asking me about it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I wasn't the one that did that life insurance. And they're like, no, we talked to you. Yeah, I have notes that we talked, but we never did anything. So they brought their paperwork in, and I was able to go through their booklets with their life insurance plans and find the agent and said it. And they're like, oh, we do know that guy, but not very well. We didn't realize he was the one that submitted it. Going through it, this individual, and so I'm going to start getting into this conversation. This individual agent had helped this lady with an indexed universal life insurance policy, which they're good, bad, indifferent. I don't know. I won't sell them. I'm not a fan of them. I would never, ever, ever, ever buy one. Therefore, I will never, ever, ever sell one. I have used them in specific situations for tax benefits in very, very, very specific situations. See, that's the thing. There's value in everything created. You guys, financial products and tools and resources were created for a reason. And it's our job to figure out what those reasons were and to get the most out of them. And in this situation, I'm like, this is not a good investment. And so I educated this couple on how the policy really worked. And they're like, yeah, well, the premium just went up $40. I said, yeah, that's correct. Because the cost of insurance goes up as you get older. So to offset that, they raise your premium. They're like, well, it went up $40. We're almost $300 a month for a $100,000 death benefit. And I shared something different with them. We had a great conversation about it. Anyway, it led into a whole nother conversation where the gentleman shared with me where his investment account was, his retirement, his 401k account, where it was sitting. And we had a whole conversation about that. And I explained some different options. And we were kind of confused on what it is. So I actually have another meeting with them. We're going to go over more of her life insurance. We're going to go over more of his retirement account. Well, this is where it really turned for me. When the lady, the wife, the boss, right? The boss, when she said, man, this retirement account has been great, but she's like, I'm sick and tired of the taxes. And I had to pause and I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, every time we draw money, we pay a hefty tax bill, from the monthly contribution or the monthly withdrawal that we're taking. And I said, yeah, that's how those retirement accounts work. And in the conversation, I actually quoted her a whole life insurance policy and explained how it's going to start out as a smaller death benefit. It was around like $55,000. But by the time she's in her 80s, it'll grow 100,000 plus. So if she lives into her 90s, it'll be far greater of a policy than the IUL that she has now. And the cost of insurance actually goes down. It went from $300 a month to a little over, it was like $219 a month. The cost of insurance goes down as you get older and the death benefit increases. And the gentleman literally said, where the heck were you 30 years ago? After they left, I literally turned to one of my colleagues, Austin, and I said, that is exactly what I want to talk about, because he's been helping me with this podcast stuff. He's actually the one that edits this, and him and I have been working together, and he also works in my insurance agency as well. But I had a whole conversation about it, and he's like, Jared, that's what you need to talk about. This conversation right here, because one, they were really frustrated of the lack of money they had in retirement. They were frustrated about the taxes that they were paying in retirement. And they were frustrated that nobody taught them about life insurance and how to properly set up life insurance so that they have life insurance in their 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. They were told to buy the life insurance with their company that ended when they passed away. So they just paid all this premium to their company. And when you quit your job or retire, that life insurance is gone. Some companies do have a contract where you can buy that outside of it, but it's on a term chassis. So that means it's eventually going to end and go away. And so they're like, yeah, we had this life insurance we paid into our whole career, gone. We've got this retirement account that is dwindling very quickly. And we have a huge tax bill, and now we're purchasing life insurance now when it costs way more. Do you see the problem here? Do you see the honest problem? And that's where I get frustrated from a perspective. There's a lot of insurance agencies and agents out there. They've just been taught to sell this policy and this policy and this policy because this is what the commission does. Yes, the policy that I shared with her, I'm going to be 100% honest with you here. The policy that I shared with her, my commission will be significantly less than the agent that sold an IUL policy. But I believe Zig Ziglar taught this. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. Meaning, you help enough people solve their problems, you're going to get value back. I believe in that. And we as an American people need to live by that. I wish the Federal Reserve, I wish Wall Street, I wish all these banks, I wish all of these lived by that statement. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I'm perfect. There's a lot of mistakes that I've made and some things that I've done with clients that I'm like, okay, I learned from that. I'm never going to do that again. And it's frustrating. That's part of life. We're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the flipping time. But at the end of the day, what is truth? Like, are you honestly taking some time to study and learn about finances? And maybe you don't want to. I've really come to that conclusion that there's a lot of people out there that they don't want to study. They don't want to read a book about life insurance. They don't want to understand 401ks and IRAs and mutual funds and these different accounts and term life insurance and all that stuff. And I get that. I totally get it. I don't freaking want to change the oil in my truck. I would gladly pay $100, $120, whatever it is, for somebody to do that. It's just not my skill set and not something I'm interested in. I get it. But if I had to, I would. But when it comes to money, when it comes to finances, when it comes to your financial life, you are so affected by it. I mean, greatly affected by it. So much that it literally dictates when you go to a restaurant, how many of you order from the left side of the menu? Maybe somebody's sitting here saying, what do you mean the left side? If you've ever noticed, some menus are set up, but most menus, the left side is what the item is. The right side is the price. How many people are picking based on the right side? You see, money is important. It is literally controlling and dictating every aspect of our life. The vehicle you drive, the home you live in, the vacations you go on, the bills you pay, the bills you don't pay, the food you eat, the groceries you buy, the phone you have. Everything you do is dictated by the dollar amount that you have. Therefore, I find it so important for each individual to learn a little bit. Just a little bit. And maybe you learn a little bit from a lot of sources. You know, before you go buy a life insurance, maybe you go talk to an agent that is very high on buying IUL. And then maybe you talk to an agent that's very high on buy term life insurance and invest the difference. We've heard that term, right? And then maybe you go talk to an agent about a whole life insurance policy, what's called the infinite banking system. And if you literally did a couple hours of study and research, especially with AI, open the AI app and talk into it, say, this is what I'm looking for, give me advice. Those little simple things have the power to change your financial life forever. I shared with this couple, I kind of ran an illustration for them and I showed them a perspective where I said, what if you would have taken, X amount of dollars per month and invested into a whole life insurance policy? And I shared it with them. I'm going to share you guys the real conversation. I shared that it would have grown a cash value account. It would have grown a death benefit. It would have grown a dividend. And the cost of insurance would have gotten cheaper. And I painted the picture. For their situation, when I shared this, I said, throughout your lifetime, you would have had access to that cash. You could have used that cash. Let's say there was $40,000 available in cash within the first 10 years. You could use that $40,000 to go buy a car or vehicle or camper or whatever it is that you wanted to do in your life. And instead of paying interest to the bank or the credit union down the street or wherever you bank, you're now paying interest into your own policy. You take what the payment would have been at the bank and you pay it into your policy. So that was one perspective. You have access to the money throughout your life. Most planning, most retirement strategies that people are using today, you can't touch that money until you're 59 and a half. If you touch it before 59 and a half, there's penalties like crazy. Okay. But in these accounts, they could have touched it and used it the whole time. Borrow it, pay it back, borrow it, pay it back, borrow it, pay it back. How much leverage would that create in their life? The next thing I talked about is all income that you draw from that account. Let's say they get into retirement. Let's say they would have had $700,000 in their life insurance cash value. They could have pulled all that money in retirement 100% tax-free. And then when they pass away, their death benefit is still going to be paid to their beneficiaries. Maybe it's their kids, maybe it's their estate, maybe it's a charity, and it's 100% tax-free. So we have access to money throughout our whole life. We have tax-free income in retirement, and we're still leaving money behind to pay for funerals, medical expenses, give to fill our estate, or leave it to our kids, whatever the plan is, tax-free, and then to teach them to do the same type of thing. The generational wealth that would be created. The stress-free. She brought it up, this lady brought it up multiple times, how irritated she was, how much tax they were paying. She's like, it's a large majority of the money that we're drawing, we're paying in taxes. Do you see where I get frustrated? I've been doing this for 8+ years now, helping people with insurance and retirement stuff and Medicare and life insurance and all these different things. And I literally just keep seeing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. We got to stop blaming the government. We got to stop blaming the Federal Reserve. You guys, they took education, financial education out of the school system for a reason. The more ignorant we are, the more power they have over us. The more that they know about money and how it works and what to do with it, and the less we know, they have power over us. That is the exact situation that I see over and over again. So the message of this show right here, this exact podcast, study something. Go learn about it. Learn about money. Where are you investing? What is your strategy? What is your plan? How good are you at managing your finances? Are you living paycheck to paycheck? That isn't the fault of inflation. I see people complaining today about, my heck, with this inflation, we can't afford nothing. Guess what? In 2019, before COVID happened, people were complaining about money then too. That the cost of things and the cost of gas and the cost of this, everybody was complaining about it then. So clearly inflation and the cost of living and things isn't the problem. Our education and our mindset and our management is the problem. So learn something about managing. The next thing is where are you investing your money? If you really studied your strategy and your plan, maybe you have a company 401k or an IRA or a Roth IRA or mutual funds or whatever. Do you really know much about those and how they work? Like, honestly, do you know how they work and what they do? And if you really did learn about them, would you still do the same thing that you're doing? The next thing is look 30, 40, 50 years into the future. What is it that you want to accomplish financially, within your marriage, within your life? Are you setting yourself up to do those things? Or are you going to be like these hundreds of people that I'm working with right now, that I'm sitting down with that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they're frustrated because they don't have enough money in retirement. They're trying to live off Social Security. They're trying to make their couple $100,000 or less last the rest of their life. Well, what if they live 20, 30 years and they run out of money? What are they going to do? That is literally the situation that is happening. So I share this from a perspective of you are capable just by a little bit of study or learning, or find people, something, a system, a process, an education, buy courses, some books, something to educate yourself about money and what it is and how it works and what to do with it. It makes me sick every time I have these conversations. It makes me frustrated. Like when they said, man, where were you 30 years ago? That's what just keeps kicking me in the pants to say, gosh dang it, I need to talk about these things. I don't like seeing this. So my homework for you is really take a step back and look. How are you at managing your money? What are you doing to invest your money and grow your money? What are you doing to plan for retirement, life, business, whatever it is that you want to accomplish? What are you doing? What is your plan? What is your strategy? What do you know? What do you have knowledge in? One thing that I love Warren Buffett said is he said, diversification is insurance for ignorance. I love that. I love that because it means if you need to diversify, it's because you don't know what is going on. If you truly knew what was going on, you'd be all in. You'd push all those chips in the center because you know, you've studied, you've learned, and you've done your homework. It doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be hard. Simple, simple, simple will change everything in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my message for you guys today. I really hope you got value. Hope it kicked you in the pants a little bit, honestly. I really do. I hope it woke some of you up to a perspective of taking action and just studying a little bit more, creating a plan, and creating the financial future and freedom that you truly desire in your life. Again, I thank you for listening to this show. If you got value from this, share this with your friends. Give me a like, give me a comment. Do something to share this with somebody. I'd really appreciate that so we can reach more people and educate so that we can create a better financial future for ourselves and also our kids. That's one thing that I look at, the financial future. I've got 2 young kids at this moment, and I want to make this world a better place for them. And it starts with all of us. So you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you next week.